Here we finally have a Jazwares Five Nights at Freddy's action figure. This is part of the Endo series, and it's classic Freddy with withered Freddy. And I've been super excited to finally get my hands on these because I've heard some really cool things about them and how they work. And anyway, here is the box. We'll flip this around. You can see what the back is right there. You can see that there is a cross sale back here. We're going to get in this Endo series. Well, here's classic Freddy, classic Bonnie, classic Chica, and classic Foxy. And right there, it even kind of says how it works. You get two characters, you get one Endo, and we'll get into that as soon as we open up this box. But this is very exciting. It even says right here, glowing eyes. I might not be able to show this to you, but the eyes on that Endo skeleton there will glow. And it says, yeah, includes one and character parts. I'm not really sure except for two characters. But anyway, let's get this guy open. So here's the figure, and yes, indeed, all of the parts, they really truly are parts. When you go to open it and you start taking pieces out, it just falls apart because all of these parts have to fit on this skeleton to actually be a figure. So you do get these random parts. But it did make me kind of curious when I looked at something such as this. With that hole there, could you get, say, like a 4-inch figure, and I'll tell you why in a minute, a 4-inch figure, and put the head somehow on there? I don't know if that would work exactly or not, or if that would be too small, but it just got me kind of thinking, could you put maybe like a smaller figure inside here? So let's take a peek here. The focus here is this endoskeleton. So let's take a look here at its articulation so you kind of get an idea of what the range is, and it's a really good range. The head rotates back and forth like that. I couldn't see that it's actually on any kind of a ball joint because it doesn't go back and forth. I think it's just on a rotation. The shoulder has a rotation and a hinge. In this state, it can go and bend all over the place. The elbow also has a hinge and a rotation, and the hand is actually on a ball joint, but there is a hinge as part of the wrist on both sides. There's a ball joint between the waist and the torso, so it can go all over the place. It does have some drop-down hips there, so they can be down, they can be up. There's a ball joint at the thigh there and inside, so you can move it around. There's a waist thigh swivel and a hinge and rotation at the knee, as well as a hinge for the ankles, and there's a ball joint down in the foot, so then it can also rotate, and it can kind of move around a little bit there for you. So this endoskeleton is, as cool as it is. I mean, this could be like a little robot for some of your figures, but it's not awesome until you decorate. Oh, did I say decorate? I don't mean decorate. It's not as awesome until you dress it up in one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and just start putting it together while we're filming. This is difficult there. There we go. So you can kind of see what happens. So we put that right there and tuck that piece there. And now he looks like he's definitely looking like he's got a costume on. Here's the waist piece. So now I'm going to separate that and figure out which one's the front and the back. I'm not entirely sure which one's front and back. I hope I'm getting it right. You know what? We call that good. And then what we'll do is we will pop off the feet. Take those off because the bare feet... Let's see. Yep, the bare feet will pop on very difficultly. There we go. There. Ooh, it rotated. I hope I don't break this thing. This endoskeleton is actually kind of scrawny and kind of fragile. Not fragile, just the articulation. There we go. He's starting to look like something, isn't he? So now I'm going to have to figure out the leg thing. There's a hand right there. But this looks like a thigh. So I got to pop this piece apart. And we'll tuck that. Oh, I heard a snap. It hooks on, kind of. That helps, so it doesn't slide up and down. And then this piece must have rolled away from me. Yeah, it doesn't look like a withered version. I won't put you through this for the withered. I'll just put it on. Let's see, I'm looking here at pieces and parts. These don't look... Oh, this is a hand. Or this is an arm. So we'll hook this right there. And that will go right there. And then he's got part of his arm. So maybe there's like a kneecap here. He's looking like a weird chicken or something. There's a piece there. Oh yeah, this will go right here. It's cool because you see these little pegs and so forth. They actually do correspond to what's inside of these pieces here. So I'll hold this up and you can see there's a little, let's call it dot and a dash, which will then plug in right there. And then this one will plug in right there. So I think I got this turned around. So I think that's the knee, like so. This is fun, isn't it? I mean, I kind of think it's fun. This is definitely a shoulder. Let's see how this goes. So this will hook here. And I might have the shoulder turned around as well. This will hook here. Yeah, it definitely looks like the shoulder's turned around, so I'll do that. And rotate this around. So now we're getting the swing of things. We'll take off the ball joint hand and we'll put this ball joint there. And let's go ahead and while we're at it, we'll take off this hand as well and hook on that one. And we're almost there. We're getting close. Now we can go a little bit quicker because I see how things are happening and you see how things are happening as well. Of course, we're going to wait and do the head at the very end because why would we do the head first? It's like drama. You gotta wait to do the best part at the end. The final touch will be that head. That will be done. And then we'll pop this off. They're actually not difficult to pop apart. That first time is, there we go. Hook that here. The first time, and then it will be kind of free to do stuff. So I know now that the knee is backwards on this. So we'll plug this in and we'll plug that there and rotate it all about and rotate the foot. We're almost there. Look at this guy. We're almost there. He looks weird and creepy, doesn't he? There we go. Come on. We can do it. It's actually not difficult. I say, oh, actually, look at this. I just noticed in here, there is an FR1 that's right up in there. So I'm guessing front right 1. And yeah, here's a BR1, back right 1. So if you ever, this is actually good because I was really concerned about losing pieces or mixing the pieces up. So that's really good. If you ever mix things up, you can read inside and it'll tell you exactly what you're doing. All right, now the crowning achievement. I don't know if that's the correct. Got to figure out exactly how. Oh, so it looks like, you see this guy's got this chin thing sticking down there. Well, that is to connect to this piece right there. So we'll hook the jaw. And look at that. Even the jaw even moves. How cool. Now he's got, what is this, an underbite at the moment. I'll pop this head open. Really want to see if I can put this around figures or somehow have this interact with figure pieces somehow. So it looks like this will hook on like so. And you're going to have to hold it because it doesn't really hook on there. And are you ready? We'll hook this on right there. There. Look at it. We got a Freddy. He looks good. He looks like a nice, tall figure. Yeah, he looks good. I'm going to pull the camera up here so we can see him better. Yeah, that's a nice looking Freddy figure. And it's cool because you can see the skeleton all through it. You can see pieces here and there, and just like all through it, you see these little things. Now I'm going to bring in a Funko figure real quick. So we'll set the Jazwares Freddy there. We'll put the Funko Freddy there. You can see the height difference like right there. It's night and day. And it is interesting because when you look at the Funko Freddy, you can definitely see what they're representing to be the endoskeleton, these little silver joint pieces. Unfortunately, they don't succeed in what they're doing because this figure just kind of falls apart. And I mean, I guess when you get down to it and you think about it, that's not the worst thing because the figures do come apart. Like, you know, we're swapping out. I mean, it's an animatronic, and I don't quite know what I'm saying, except for maybe Funko wasn't too far off, but Funko was really annoying because figures fell apart, and I don't like figures that fall apart. In fact, I'm trying to put it together right now, and it kind of falls apart. So, but the cool thing is, this figure doesn't fall apart. He's loose feeling, but look at this. You know, he's got rotation at the head, and he's got a ball joint there, and he can still bring his arms way up and rotate them all the way around. He does have a little bit limited articulation in the elbow, but rotates and hinges, and the hand is doing just fine until I popped it off. It's the same as the Endo. That's difficult. The Endo hand, it has a hinge in the palm. There we go. And drop down hips still. If you want him to do the splits, that's about as far as he goes. If you want him to sit, he could actually sit not too bad. Rotates around. Now it's interesting because the endoskeleton has thighs. Oh, okay, look at that. So these pieces are attached to the upper thigh, which will allow for the thigh swivel to work. Hinge and rotation, so he pretty much has all that range of motion that I showed you earlier, which is kind of neat. Let's put on the Withered Freddy outfit so you can see what that looks like now. And with the magic of time travel, here is Withered Freddy all put together. You can see what he looks like, kind of used and kind of rusted and kind of beat up a little bit. So I'm not real clear, but it's kind of cool. You can actually, there's holes in parts of this so you can actually see more of that skeleton. Real quick, I'm going to do a height comparison. This is a G.I. Joe classified figure, so you can get an idea of how tall this figure is. I was under the impression that these figures were 1/12 scale, and I don't know if this is 1/12 scale and these were in real life 6 feet tall, and a guy like this walks in to the restaurant. I don't think these animatronics would be too frightful. I think someone like him, I mean, besides the fact he's in the military, but I think these figures need to be like more Halo size, 6.5 to 7 inch tall. I kind of wonder if these are just on the tall side of the, what it is size, like 1/15, where they're about 5 inches tall. I don't have a measuring tape here to actually measure it, but I mean, if you go to the top of his hat to him, he's probably 1/12 scale. Just unfortunately, the figure doesn't look real awesome, I don't think, next to maybe an average 1/12 scale figure, but that's just my thought. So it's really neat, and I didn't show this to you with the other version. I forgot to. The mouth does open. That's pretty neat. You can open it and shut it. Now, what's kind of neat, having all of these pieces, I'm just going to scoot all this pile of stuff in here, is you could swap. You could have a partial Withered Freddy and a partial Classic Freddy. You could have it mixed and matched any which way you want. And another crazy idea is because of the 4 different figures on that cross sale, including this one, you could probably mix and match Bonnie and Chica and Foxy and Freddy, you know, pieces all over the place if you wanted to, and come up with a really crazy figure. I like this. It's not as tall as I was hoping it would be. I was hoping for taller, but I don't think this is actually collector grade. I don't think this is a collector level as much as Endo Series sounds like it might be. It's just a little bit bigger, taller, fancy, more articulated version of the figure, but there's still a fair amount of looseness to it because of how this works. I did notice that the withered right forearm can fall off pretty easy because you can see it's already doing that right there, because the inside of this piece, if you see that little crack right there, it's not broken. They designed it that way, but because of where it is, it doesn't plug into that little peg right there. It just sits there. So the entire holding connection point is reliant on the little square peg in this side and the two round pegs that hold the piece together. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to work very well. It seems kind of loose. I'll put it back here. That would be the only real complaint that I have about this figure, is this right forearm. And you can get it on, and if you're just going to stand it up and display it somewhere, not a problem. If you're going to mess with it, remove it, take things off, put things on, do all sorts of fun, fancy stuff with this figure, then it might, get loose over time. But I like the concept, I like the design, I like the overall look. I think the designers did a really good job in putting this figure together the way it did, even if I'm not quite happy of how tall it is. I think it's a pretty good figure. Anyway, thanks for stopping by and watching. I will see you in the next one.